And welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View, where this afternoon we're going to talk about the formation. Brendan Rodgers has been under a lot of stick recently about the formations, about the 4-3-3 and it not working, and pulling the one and only Kyogo out of position, playing him in a midfield role, which is nullifying. And the stats don't lie. The stats don't lie. If you look at the stats between last season and how many goals we had scored at this stage of the season, and how many goals we'd scored at this stage of this season, you can tell that things haven't been going to plan. Maybe it's time that the manager, we've been speaking about it on this channel for a long time, and we've been speaking about a 3-5-2 formation. And maybe we should think about it. So here is my 3-5-2, just to mix it up. Tell me your thoughts in the comments and tell me who you would play in a 3-5-2 formation, because I do think that Celtic in the league predominantly should be playing a 3-5-2 formation. There's no need for us to be playing the four at the back, even though that the fullbacks do come forward and get into. But it does leave us. And we have shown that in goals that we've lost when Liam Scales has been out of position because he's been dragged to the left due to the fact that Taylor's will be up the park. If we had more control in the midfield and if we had more presence in the midfield, because sometimes when you look at the Celtic midfield, it seems to be all over the place. I used to admire Alex Ferguson's 4-4-2 back in the late 90s and early 2000s, because it was a straight bank of four. It was a straight bank of four, and you had the two up front. And when you looked at it on the pitch, it looks neat, it looks tidy. When you look at a Celtic midfield, it's all over the place. You don't know where people's position is meant to be and what position they're meant to be in. It's sometimes you look at it and a bowl of spaghetti could look nicer. Anyway, let's jump onto the 3-5-2 and what team I would play if I was Celtic manager. God forbid that was to ever happen. We would be in real trouble. Anyway, Joe Hart would be in goals. He is the best goalkeeper that we have at Celtic. He has saved us a lot this season at times, but then there's other times where you're thinking, Joe, my goodness, what are you doing? And it remains to be seen whether Joe Hart will be with us next season. That means Celtic will have a dilemma because Benji Siegrist is wanting out the door, and with Joe Hart leaving Celtic, Celtic will be looking for two goalkeepers. That is unbelievable. But then again, we do have a young goalkeeper from the B team that is out on loan, and I think he should be brought back and brought into the system because let's face it, we've got a number two there that's been there as long as the house. So Joe Hart and goals. I'm going to go with the back three of Stephen Welsh, Carter Vickers, and Liam Scales to the end of the season. Now, remember, this is just until the end of the season, and it's the strongest players that we have just now that are fit and available, even though Carter Vickers is maybe a week away yet from coming back into the team. But that's the team that I would probably go with at the back. Tell me your thoughts on that. Would you go with Welsh, Carter Vickers, and Scales at the back? Go with the back three. And the reason I'm thinking this is because I've pushed Greg Taylor further forward. And that then allows him to drop back if we need to be into a back four. So there is that opportunity for a little bit of formation change within the squad that I have picked. And then I've got, although I do have Taylor in that midfield on the wing, I then have O'Reilly. O'Reilly, he's not been at his best form. Has he been told that he can leave in the summer and he'll get his move to Atletico Madrid? Has that been put on the back burner till the summer? Or did Celtic just turn around to them and said, not a chance? No. Just no, it's not happening. Did they turn around and say that to them, or was there a gentleman's agreement for the one and only Atletico Madrid to come back for Matt O'Reilly? I would then go with Awasa. I'd go with Tomoki Awasa in the holding midfield role. So that allows Callum McGregor to go further out to the left and it allows him to get further forward and up the pitch also. I think Awasa must be thinking, what have I got to do to get into the team? He is a big, cumbersome guy. He can do that midfield holding position quite well. And I think with McGregor and O'Reilly going forward, they'd have a better understanding. And then on the wing, I'm going to give Lewis Palmer the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt at the moment, and I think he's a player that will come good, hopefully, and if not, he'll be sold to the highest bidder, and I don't think he'll be to Spain. And I will give Lewis Palmer the benefit of the doubt just now, and he would go on the other wing. That gives us a 5 in the midfield. It gives us players that can go forward, and it gives us the players also that can break into a 4 if needed be in the league. And it gives us a little bit of height also, because Awata's just a little bit bigger than McGregor and all the rest of them in that midfield. So it beefs up that midfield slightly. Tell me what you think about it so far. Are you in agreement, or are you saying, Baz, what are you thinking of? Brendan Rodgers knows so much better. Well, according to a lot of the fans out there just now, Brendan Rodgers doesn't know what he's doing, and he's making a lot of mistakes on an ongoing basis. So that's why I thought we'd have this video saying, should Celtic play a 3-5-2? And if they did, this would be my team. And then obviously up front, you're going to have two strikers. We only really have two good strikers at the club at the moment. We do have O that comes on and makes a bit of a nuisance of himself, but is he as good as Adam Ida? Are either better than the other is probably the question that should be asked. And then you're just going to give Kyogo up front. I want Kyogo to be up front with Ida, because I think Ida gives you that little bit more height, and I think it could play a little bit more like what Sutton and Larson used to play if they managed to get the game time together in that forward position, and they get that little bit of understanding. I know there's only 12 games to go now. It is difficult to try and get any kind of quick understanding that's going to make a massive change, but you never know. You never know. Maybe Brendan Rodgers has got a little ace up his sleeve, and he will say, look, Kyogo, go further forward, rather sitting in that midfield role. I think if Celtic were to play a 3-5-2, especially when teams are sitting with this low block in the midfield area and the defensive area, if we've got 5 along the middle of the park and then 2 up front, it allows us to mix that up a bit. Having just the one striker, I feel, when we've got the low block, you can sometimes have, I know you say that the Celtic wingers are meant to get up, but you're hitting it to one guy in the middle of the park in the 6-yard box, and it's the smallest guy on the pitch, unfortunately. So I think Celtic should be playing a 3-5-2. Whether that's the team that it's the best team for a 3-5-2, I'm not too sure. What happens when Rio Hatate walks back into the team? Then we've got a big shout, because I think McGregor would then get pushed out to the left. Palmer gets dropped. But has McGregor got that pace for a winger? No, he doesn't. That's why he's played further inside, and he's not a winger. He's played through the middle. He did play through the left on his earlier career, but it was the left of the midfield, so he wasn't a real winger at the time. It's a difficult one, because when Rio Hatate does come back in, will Rio Hatate even have any kind of form to take us on to the end of the season? He broke down an injury whilst he was away again with the Asia Cup, and it seems to be an injury-plagued year for the player. It's basically a season that he can write off altogether. He was injured at the start of the season. His form at the start of the season was really poor. His form was that poor that David Turnbull was getting a game before him. And as it stands just now, I mean, David Turnbull's now left the club, but this is what we've got, and you can only push with the cock you've got, as they say. So that's my starting 11. It would be Joe Hart in goals, with Welsh, Carter Vickers and Scales at the back, and a midfield of Taylor, O'Reilly, Awata, McGregor and Palmer. Taylor and Palmer will give you that little bit of pace, and Taylor does like getting forward. He likes coming in to the middle of the park a little bit too much, but I think that if he was playing in the midfield position, he would stick to the byline a bit more and hopefully get a bit more crosses in. This is my thinking behind it. It gives you the option of the two players that do have that little bit of pace on the wing that hopefully can cross a ball in to the likes of Kyogo and Ida. You have a Wata sitting in that midfield, and even if they want to go into a little V shape with O'Reilly and McGregor pushing further forward, so then be it. But when it comes to sitting in front of a loaded back wall, a 6 in defence along the 18-yard box, I do think we need a better bit of a formation in that midfield area, with O'Reilly making runs, McGregor making runs, Awata sitting in the middle, so if any loose balls fall into the middle of the park, I think it should be a formation that should be maybe tried by Celtic. Will they do it? Will they hang? Brendan Rodgers knows best, and then Brendan Rodgers we trust, say Celtic. Celtic will not make any harsh decisions on Brendan Rodgers until the end of the season, and people are confused in the board why we hate the board. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I'll see you on the live later tonight.